Hey everyone, Poindexter here with another episode of In My Opinion. Welcome. So today, as advertised on Twitter and Instagram, I have the Dumb Marks podcast with me today. So please welcome Chris, Donald, Steve, and Jason from the Dumb Marks podcast.
Hey everybody.
How's it going?
Thanks for having us on.
Hey, no problem. So if you guys just so the people at home know what you guys do, why don't you go ahead and say one of you guys talk about what your podcast is about? Like, what do you do on there?
Go ahead, Chris.
All right. We're the Dumb Marks podcast. There's four of us. Steve always says we're the best four-man booth in the business. We go live every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Our audio-only edition of the podcast is pretty much available on every podcast platform. So look us up. Like, follow, subscribe to our channels, especially YouTube. And we appreciate you having us on today.
No, yeah, pleasure. You guys are. I recently got to know, obviously, Chris from this whole thing through Spaces. So and I like you guys. I assume you guys all have the same knowledge of wrestling. So with that, I couldn't help but to ask you guys to come on. So this is awesome. So with that being said, are you guys ready to debate, discuss questions today?
Yes, we
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're here for.
All right.
It's hot take season. Let's get it. I've been watching Stephen A. Smith clips all day. I've been brushing up. I'm ready to go.
Oh, so you're ready.
This is like Dusty Rhodes versus the Four Horsemen over here.
Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah, I'm pretty outnumbered right here. 50 against 1. I like the odds. Yeah, I just gotta give a shout out. What's up, Kenny? What's up, Toe? And what's up, Amy? We're just getting started now, so go ahead and start with this topic that I've had for a while now. So recently, since I've been watching wrestling, there's always been a bad guy and a good guy. We all know that, heel and face, shit like that. Me personally, as I've grown to watch it, I feel like I don't really need that to watch a good match anymore, except for maybe when it comes to mic work and like promos and videos and all that stuff. So what I noticed especially in WWE on the women's side of things, is that when they cut a promo or do like a vignette or something like that, they tend to always sound exactly the same. Like nobody, like for example, I can't tell the difference between Carmella cutting a promo and when Bianca Belair is cutting a promo, because they talk like these, I don't know, like I'm better than you. I'm the greatest, blah, blah, blah. They have like this confidence, like this snarky confidence that a heel should have, but instead it's on a face, you know what I mean? So I just kind of wanted to ask the question, what do you guys think?
So I agree with you. I was gonna say let WWE Jason chime in down there.
I agree with you. Like you said with the Carmella, and they all cut the same promo, and then when you get the baby face or the face side, you get the inspirational speech, which is kind of getting tiresome. But hey,
Let's see.
All right.
No, I thought
no, I'm just saying that. Yeah.
No,
I think it goes back
I
to.
just go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it goes back to a problem with some of the training in NXT where they try to make some of this talent just too cookie cutter.
Mhm.
Instead of trying to develop originality, they just try to teach them all the same thing, and what works for one doesn't necessarily work for the other.
But I mean, with like Bianca, I don't know. Do people not care? Like as far as like Bianca doing pretty much the same thing that Carmella would do. Um, sorry, it's like I'm trying to think of an example in my head right now because I know there's more examples, but
You don't get the
you know,
the
Becky
scathing.
comes out.
Oh my bad. You don't get like
Huh?
the scathing promos or anything unless you're like in the top four.
Right. Well, because they're all
Unless
saying
you're
that they're all saying the
Charlotte.
same thing. It's just one
Mhm.
is labeled as a base versus another one is a heel. Like, if you really break it down, Becky's pretty much saying the same thing as like a Liv is saying. Only Liv will put in like I had to climb to the top to get here. Well, you know, all that shit. But other than that, they're just saying like, oh, I'm the best. I deserve that title. It's just the same cookie cutter shit, like Chris was saying.
It's the only difference.
So
it's like, sorry, it's the only difference is the heels say bitch, and the face don't say bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what it comes down to. But to me, I also think that WWE, like Chris said, everything is cookie cutter. But I think the fans really don't care because they're so geared toward kids. Kids could care less what you're talking about. As long as the in-ring product is something entertaining for them, I think they really don't care what the promos, who's saying what is anything, because it's geared towards the kids.
And for me, it just boils down to the match.
But even the matches, like sometimes, they don't really what's the word? They don't really satisfy you once they happen. Like last night was an exception, but either they end in like a roll up or DQ constantly.
Yeah.
So
they deliver on the pay-per-views, and then it's like they mail it in, the rest of the week.
Yeah.
I think
so.
No, I was just going to say
that time.
No, you're fine. I think from the promo speaking standpoint, yes, it's cookie cutter. But at the same time, it's the people that are writing the scripted promos for the performers, and just to be honest, like, let's face it, the creative hasn't been very creative in a really long time. Whether it's storyline wise, promo wise. Often you're giving these promos to these individuals to go out there and speak, and I feel nowadays the wrestlers will just take the promo and go out there and read it as they're given, where in different eras in years past, yeah, you may get a scripted promo, but a Triple H is going to tailor it to his character and what he says. A Stone Cold's going to do the same thing. Trish or Alita is going to do the same thing and make it their own, but still hit all the bullet points that need to be hit in the promo itself. Mm-hmm. Performers nowadays aren't doing that in WWE, and the ones that do stand out on the microphone are your upper echelon guys and girls that have been there, 5, 6, 7+ years, and they have more rope than some of the other performers on the show, so they can get away with making a promo their own. Or maybe they're not as scripted as other wrestlers. Like, you're not going to script Roman Reigns as much as you're going to script, say, Doudrop, and that's just because Roman's been there longer, he's more established and has more rope than somebody like that. Charlotte, versus a Nikki ASH, again, like, you're not going to script it the same. Charlotte may be able to get more points off compared to what Nikki does. So I think a lot of it, if it's going to be, heel versus babyface in a promo, you have to clearly define if you're a heel or if you're a babyface. You can't have the same context like you said. But my question is, if you feel like the heels and babyfaces are only in the promos and not in the matches, does that interfere, or does that make you not want to watch the product as much because you you don't have that clearly defined heel babyface role? Or are you like Jason and just strictly if the match is good, the match is good?
Yeah. I don't know. At the end of the day, when it comes to the promos, heels versus face, or at the end of the day with the matches, I'm just there for a good match. Yeah. So, it's like for instance, I will cheer even if there's a heel, like I'll cheer for that heel if I want them to win. Like it doesn't matter to me. If that makes sense.
So-
I hope that answered your
so
question.
just-
I don't know.
No. I think based off of last night, right? So you're getting Doudrop and Becky, and both Doudrop and Becky are heels, but that doesn't matter that there's
Right.
not a heel and a babyface as long as the match delivers for you. Then you're fine and you're satisfied with what you're watching.
Right. No, yeah. That's it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. All right, yeah.
But another thing,
So,
with
yeah, I
the
just had-
sorry.
Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say like another thing with the promos too, that the upper echelon they get rope and all that stuff, but to see if the younger or the newbie performers have anything, they have to let them go one time. You can't hold everybody's hand forever. You just can't be like, here's a script, read it. I mean, you actually have to let them go. Like my mom don't take me to the bathroom anymore. I have to go myself.
But you can tell sometimes if they reading it, they ain't got it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true on that point too.
it, but like
Gotta let them go.
my only issue is that like you guys said with the creative, like how many times are you do you watch the product that you write for? Because half of the time everybody has the same fucking personality. So I'm just trying to figure out like do the scripts get like exchanged wrong to the wrong people sometimes, or like I just feel like I hear the same, like we were talking about, we just hear the same shit, or I don't know, it's just really repetitive.
Unfortunately, no matter what, at the end of the day, it all gets filtered down to one person that puts it on TV. And if he likes it, it doesn't matter what creative really writes because he's the one filtering to the people. And if it's the same thing for everybody, I just don't know where his entertainment comes from at times. But we always say, as long as he's entertained, what does it matter for anybody else?
Yeah, one last
That's
thing for me
unfortunate.
but just to chime in back to your point about the writing and the creative and whether or not they watch the product. I mean, we've seen writers get let go because they didn't know, that Bobby Lashley was the Raw champion at the time. Like, so they're not watching the product. They're hiring writers that aren't familiar with wrestling and don't know the product, or have a passion about the product. It's hard for anybody to write something that write about something that they're not passionate about. So yeah, if you have 27 people hired from different genres, but none of the 27 watch wrestling, then you're not going to be able to write a wrestling show for people that need to go out and cut promos and put on storylines based in the wrestling world, so to speak.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that when that happened. They hired that comedy writer, and she didn't even know who the world champion was. What'd she say his name was? Bobby Lashner or something? Shout out to Joe for that joke.
Yeah.
But okay, all right. Moving on. I mean, speaking of like creative and them like basically holding back a lot of talent that just need to get branched off on their own. There was another topic and that was brought up earlier today by Eddie Kingston. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but he came out with a statement saying that Jericho is holding back Proud and Powerful to become AEW Tag Team Champions. So my question is he? is he really doing that? 'Cause, in my opinion, I think that he is, because I could recall Sammy Guevara, winning the TNT title after not being with the Inner Circle for what felt like months, and they finally had a program back. I think it was American Team, and I saw him with the TNT title, and I'm like, that shit doesn't look good when he's like with everybody. You know what I mean? And it didn't look right and feel right, and it felt like like Jericho just overshadowed the whole thing because he's really the leader of the group, not the TNT champion. So it's just, to me anyway, just feels like he held a lot of people back, except for Jake Hager, which I think he's just there for like a cup of coffee and then he dips out for another 3 months. But other than that, I guess we'll start with Chris. I mean, what do you think? Do you think Jericho's holding back Proud and Powerful from winning anything?
I don't think it's so much as Jericho's holding them back as it's how many tag teams AEW currently has, and they're trying to give people somewhat lengthy runs with these titles. And so it's not like, it's not every month you're seeing a new championship crown. You're seeing it like every maybe 6 months. And I think at some point, Pride and Powerful will get the belts. They might even be next. It was really weird after Jurassic Express won the tag titles this past week that they kept showing Jericho and Pride and Powerful, and they kind of looked like they didn't know that the camera was going to be on them. But they did focus heavily on them. So is that a tease that, hey, Pride and Powerful, they got their eye on Jurassic Express right now? Because I do think that they will get there someday. It's just, Young Bucks had their turn. Lucha Brothers had their turn. SCU had their turn in the beginning. It's just, it'll get there. It's just, you can't give it to everybody right away.
Donald?
I don't think Jericho's holding him back at all. They were off TV for, quite a while, and I don't think that was to Jericho's doing at all. It's just like Chris mentioned, there are so many tag teams in AEW. It's like beyond ridiculous. Like Chris said, when Jurassic Express won, they showed all those tag teams at the top who are going to buy for them, like buying for their titles. Like all those teams are not going to be buying for their titles. Jurassic Express might lose the belts in 2 months, and it's not going to be one of those people up on the ramp. So just give it time. The Pride and Powerful is going to get it probably later in the year. I don't think nothing anytime soon, but I don't believe Jericho's holding him back. That's one legend I think is not holding anybody back.
Okay. We'll go down to Steve. What do you think?
So if you guys follow our show and listen to our show, last week we gave some predictions for the year, and I said Pride and Powerful would be the AEW Tag Team Champions. However, they would be the Tag Team Champions as the former LAX version of themselves with Eddie Kingston, like they did in their run in Impact, and not as part of the Inner Circle. To me, I didn't see Eddie's post or tweet or whatever he put out today, but to me, this is just all part of storyline and Eddie setting the seeds. We've already seen seeds planted between Eddie and Jericho with their beef back and forth over the course of the last 3 weeks or so. And this is just them taking the storyline to social media and playing it out, and him planting those seeds again to say, hey, these are my boys. This is my family. That's, as he calls Ortiz, is what's he call him, Monkey, and Santana something else. Like he goes, we're a true family. You may say you're family in the Inner Circle, but you're not like how we are. And for me, interest wise, I would rather have Santana and Ortiz with Eddie Kingston, just because I know what that faction and that group can do based off of their run from Impact. So they're way more exciting and way more believable with Eddie as compared to in the Inner Circle. But I think that this year is their year, and that they'll get a lengthy run at some point this year for them.
I agree with Steve. They should have been had the belts. I agree it's part of a storyline, but I also agree that not intentionally holding them back, just because they're a part of Jericho's storyline, they haven't been getting an opportunity to be tag champions. So not in, you know, like not holding them back per se, but just not in the book form right now.
I'm gonna be honest right now. After listening to all your guys' takes on this, I'm truly mad at myself because I just got worked into big time.
What do you mean? What do you
I
mean?
feel
How'd
like
you get
such a
worked?
fucking mark right now.
Why?
No, I just want to end the
We're all
show
dumb
right
marks. We're all dumb marks. I mean,
It was still real to you.
now. It was
Like
so
you
real to
didn't
me.
feel the concept turn
As
coming.
soon as somebody said, it's part of a storyline, I was like, oh my God, dude. No.
hey, but listen,
I saw those glasses come off. I thought you were about to give us a real argument there for a
Yeah.
second.
yeah, I was
no.
like, I was waiting for the pipe bomb to come. I'm like, we're getting the pipe bomb second question in. No, but look, if you're saying that you got worked, right, then mission
Yeah.
accomplished. How many times in today's era of wrestling do you actually get worked? And if they're able to do that based off of what was done today, then kudos, bravo. Whether or not the rest of the story plays out and is good and everything else, but right now, as of today, them one, you nothing. That's the way it is. It works out like that sometimes.
And we're fucking live. Damn it. All right.
You can edit that out in post.
Yeah. Oh shit. Well, okay, we'll just move on from there. Because we'll go on with this. We'll move on with this. Because speaking of marks, actually, Pro Wrestling Fiend had a good question for all of us here. He wanted to know if it's kind of slow. You guys have a take on Omega apologizing to Cornette and Corny just being a jerk about it?
I don't
I don't
know
know
the whole
much about
story
that,
on
so I
this.
can't really.
I know I heard that Cornette, kind of said some stuff about Omega, but I don't know what even Omega was apologizing for. I'm not sure.
So we tend to on our show we tend to stay away from this type of rumor and innuendo and fodder. But from the little bits that I saw, the back and forth, obviously everybody knows Cornette has been highly critical of AEW from the start, and Omega probably the hardest, calling him twinkle toes and basically saying he's the pimple on the ass of pro wrestling. And Omega fired some shots back and they went back and forth, and I guess I don't know enough of the story to say Kenny rethought what he said and that's why I decided to apologize, or somebody got in his ear and decided to he should apologize. Look, Cornette is what he is. Everybody knows what Cornette is at this point. The man has been around wrestling and has forgotten more wrestling than we'll ever remember in our entire lives. But that doesn't give him the right to just completely, crap all over people all the time either. So, don't really know all the ins and outs of it. If the apology was legitimate and Omega felt he should apologize, then okay. Will this be the end of their feud or bickering back and forth? I doubt it, because Cornette will pop off on something sooner rather than later again.
Probably this week.
Yeah, I had it. Anybody else on that? I just thought I address it because Pro Wrestling Fiend had it. I'm gonna be honest. Like I used to listen to the Jim Cornette podcast. Maybe a little bit all of last year, kind of, and for a moment there, it was like gospel. Like I started reading into shit way too much, like he did, and I gotta say, man, he is Twitter incarnate. Like he is so negative about every little fucking thing. It blows my mind. Like how can you be so like? I mean, we all know it's not legitimate. Right, we all know wrestling isn't legitimate.
Wait, what?
So, yeah. Oh, definitely in this broadcast now. I totally. No. But yeah, I mean, we all know it. But you want to talk about marks? That's one of the biggest marks I've ever seen. In my life, and even Kenny got surprised about me saying that it's not legitimate. So Yeah, it's like when your parents tell you that Santa Claus isn't real. Sorry. Yeah, that's all I have on the take. Anybody else have a take on it
Cornette will be Cornette.
before we move on?
Cornette will be Cornette.
I'm out.
Yeah. Him and Russo are on the same field. They're out there. To care less.
Okay. No, fair enough. All right, so moving on from there. Speaking of, well, never mind. I don't have a good segue. So the full list of this is a disaster, dude. I'm sorry. So the full list hasn't been out for the full list has not been yet established for the Royal Rumble on either side, men or women. So I just wanted to kind of see where your guys' heads were at as far as who do you think might win. Start with the men's side first. Who do you think might win it all this year, and why? So we'll start with Chris since he's on the right of me here. Right.
This is a tough one because honestly, my pick up until last week was going to be Brock Lesnar. I thought for sure that he was going to be going to Mania to face Roman. So whenever they gave him the WWE Championship, it threw a wrench in my plan. The past probably 6 years, my go-to pick has been Daniel Bryan, just because that was my boy. Was in Pittsburgh whenever he didn't show up into the Rumble match, whenever they didn't put him in, and ever since that he was just okay. Daniel Bryan, this is his year. This is his year. This is his year, and just disappointed every year. Probably my favorite professional wrestler, AJ Styles. He's going to be my go-to pick now until he's done. So I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm going to put AJ in there right now as my pick, just because like I said, with the whole thing with Brock Lesnar, it just threw my Royal Rumble predictions out the window.
Okay, he might show up because of the Forbidden Door thing, though. I'm just kidding.
Danielson comes back as a surprise. That was rumored to be out there that WWE was working on a surprise Forbidden Door entrant on the men's side, like how they had with Mickie James. So
yeah,
but 1 year I don't pick Daniel Bryan to win.
It'll come back and win it. Yeah.
It'll be Zack Ryder.
I saw Jericho as a rumor too, which that could be a possibility.
Jericho? I heard. I thought Moose was really trying to campaign himself to join the Rumble.
I know he was campaigning to get that match with Reigns. He tweeted at him directly after Hard to Kill on the weekend. Chris, you kind of stole my thunder there with AJ. I was kind of watching the show last night. Like, man, this guy's been out of the title picture for almost 2 years now, and don't know how many more years of AJ Styles you're going to get. But to have him waste 2 of those years in a tag team with Almost is I don't understand it. It never will. It's never made sense to me. You didn't get the Shawn Michaels Diesel situation like you wanted out of it. In fact, probably both men are worse off than what they were before they put them two together. In my opinion, to steal the tagline from the show. So yeah, AJ Styles is one. Listen, for me, based off of last night's Raw and what happened at day one, Big E has to be the one to win the Royal Rumble. Because if Big E doesn't win the Royal Rumble, I don't know what you're going to do with Big E. And they didn't do him any favors the way they booked him as champion. They didn't set him up to have the run that he should have had. We talked about it on our show all the time that Big E should have been the one to go after Reigns and dethrone Reigns. I've given Reigns his long title reign to establish him as a true top-tier main event person. So for me, Big E has to be the one to win the Royal Rumble. If he doesn't, he's going to be super lost in the sauce.
Talk about stealing thunder.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna go Big E, and he's throwing out Kofi second to last.
All that's going to do is set up Big E versus Kofi.
It has to be
Now,
Big E.
I was thinking, are you guys okay?
Mm.
It has to be.
Yeah,
Well,
it has to.
I was thinking because of how they've been kind of presenting Austin Theory as the protege for Vince McMahon, that they might be giving him a bit of a push there. So I don't
That
know if
would
that
be
mean I don't know, not necessarily meaning he's gonna win it, but he might be at least like runner up.
that would be
Um,
a bigger rocket ship on his back than what Braun Breaker got in NXT.
Yeah.
If
That
you
would
have him
be.
come up and like that's and listen, Vince McMahon is not getting on TV nowadays unless he truly sees something in you. And the fact that he's been with Vince McMahon in so many segments over the past couple of weeks, that should automatically tell you that, hey, this guy is going to be a player. I wouldn't do it right now this year. Maybe this time next year, okay. But to put it on him and have him win the Rumble right now, like that's a rocket ship we haven't seen in WWE in a very long time, if ever.
I'll be for that because that's for the future. You know, push to the future.
Give him the money in the bank.
the Money in the
I
Bank.
think good. I
I'm
think
surprised none
good
of you
with
guys
Money in
said.
the Bank.
I'm surprised none of you guys said Johnny Knoxville.
As soon as he comes in, he's going out.
I don't. This is we talk about it on our show where WWE is not really culturally relevant all the time with who they bring in and how they do stuff. Jackass. I don't know when the last time Jackass was truly relevant. Like, was that 20 years ago?
They're back.
And then that's what I said.
What?
Yeah, that's the same time that WWE was relevant 20 years ago.
I mean,
Yeah, they got a movie to
2006,
promote, but-
I don't know if that's almost 20 years, I think.
So yeah, almost 20.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's about 15 years too late from getting in the Rumble.
They did.
Jeez.
They tried to do that SummerSlam a couple years, probably like 2010, I think it was, somewhere around there, and something failed. But even then, they still weren't even relevant.
Well, I mean, you had the Steve-O and who was that? Steve-O and Bam Margera match. Like that should have been the end of Jackass's run on WWE programming, but they're recycling it now. So I'm sure it'll be the Royal Rumble presented by whatever Johnny Knoxville's new movie is. Like how we
Jackass
had.
Forever.
Yeah, Jackass
Yeah,
Forever.
Jackass 4, yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. But again, this is why
that's true,
WWE
they
is
did
towards
that.
the
They did
kids.
that before. It was promoting Jackass 3.
And that's why WWE is geared towards the kids because of stuff like that.
Because of Jackass?
Because nobody wants to
Jackass.
see that. Nobody wants to see Johnny Knoxville.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody wants to see that.
Did you enjoy Bad Bunny?
Bad Bunny.
Did you
Bad
enjoy
Bunny-
Bad Bunny?
Bad Bunny and Johnny
Bad-
Knoxville
I
are
did.
completely different.
Yes.
It don't matter. You put in the
Completely
work.
different.
Johnny Knoxville's not doing what Bad Bunny did at Mania.
Johnny Knoxville's not getting over 1 billion streams. Okay, he's not relevant. You know, yeah.
Did I enjoy the match with Bad Bunny? Yes. Did I enjoy anything else with Bad Bunny? No.
Had they not announced it, you guys would all be surprised.
The Johnny Knoxville showed up.
I'd
Yeah.
be surprised, but not a good surprise.
I turned on
You'd be
Peacock.
surprised. You'd be surprised. Get out of here.
I wouldn't be down my basement popping over that.
You would.
No, I wouldn't.
I'm not gonna lie. If they would have did it as a surprise and he came out, I'd be like, who's that old guy? Like honestly, Toe made a comment. Knucklehead Podcast. He says Drew Carey was in the Rumble. I want to see Drew Carey back in the Rumble.
Yeah.
I think he's in better shape now for it than what he was then. I'm not one to talk about that, but at least he didn't wrestle in there. I think
Yeah.
Kane ended up eliminating him, or he eliminated himself. But
I would like to, not for nothing. I would like to see Rosie O'Donnell be in the women's Royal Rumble.
We
Hey,
could go.
good segue.
We could go so many different ways with that.
Yeah.
Let that go right. Let that ship go right on by.
give me
Good
somebody that's
segue
at
then.
least pop culturally relevant.
Oh, weren't they wanting to do something with Cardi B not too long ago?
For
Yeah,
SummerSlam, yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe maybe they're not going to do it now, obviously, but maybe eventually they'll pull a Bad Bunny and have her do a tag team match with somebody.
That might be as bad as Snooki.
Oh, that's right. She did it too. What is up with them? And like, well,
And
you know
Maria
what? I
Menounos.
can't even talk because AEW did it with Shaq, even though that was all right. I thought.
They did All In with Stephen Amell, but at least Stephen Amell could go in the ring. You know?
You had Snoop come in and drop an elbow.
Oh, that's right. Snoop
No,
was
he
there
did the
too.
splash. He did the
Splash.
splash.
No,
Splash, yeah.
tried. He tried.
Though Snoop can do everything.
Let's see. He says the reason why no one wants to see him in it because they don't give enough respect to the rest of the wrestlers who add acts and jokes for entries.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with that. Like back in the day, you had, whether it was one of the Bushwhackers come in and do a quick in and out spot that added comedy and stuff to the Rumble. Santino Morello there for a couple years was always out there doing something. So yeah, but to me this
Mick
fit
Foley.
just doesn't make any sense at all. The median age of Raw right now is 58, so I guess Johnny Knoxville would work for that type of demographic.
Well, I mean, we said earlier that they are for kids, so I don't get that.
No, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like Steve said, the median age is what's watching it, but they produce the show for kids.
They're growing in the future.
It's ass
grow in the
backwards,
future.
man. But okay, staying on the topic of the Rumble and stuff. We covered the men's. I think all of you, except for Chris, that just wanted Big E to win, right? And Chris, you wanted AJ Styles. So let's move over to the other gender, the women's side. So do you guys have any picks for that? For me, I'll start first, obviously, because it's my show. In my opinion, I think Liv Morgan should win it, but I really don't have a reason why. Because she's lost pretty much every match, so that she's been in.
Go ahead, Chris.
So, anybody else wants to chime in? Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I'm over Liv at this point. She's had a few shots. I'm not saying I don't want to see her back in the picture at all, but I'd rather see them do something else. Going into the past few weeks, the first two that were on my mind is that we're probably going to see the return of Alexa Bliss and Bayley. My money right now would be on Bayley because Bayley's really playing it up on Twitter that she's not coming back for the Rumble and that she's been acting like, who do you people think you are telling me that I need to return for the Rumble? It's like, so I just keep thinking like she's trying to deflect a little bit, and that's where my money's going. If she's healthy, maybe she's not 100% yet. But if she's healthy, I think Bayley's going to do it. So those would be my two, Bayley and Alexa Bliss.
For me, I'm thinking of WWE, and I'm thinking of WrestleMania, and I think Charlotte's going to win. So she could call out Becky again, and we'll get it for the 60th time because they need something to sell out 2 nights. And I think they don't have that second main event at all set up for night 1. And I think Becky and Charlotte will put butts in the seats.
Okay.
Jay?
I'm gonna go Charlotte, and she calls out Tony Storm because I need my baby back.
So,
My
No, go
my
ahead.
my take right now. I don't have a clue on the women's, even though they announced 18 of the 30. However, what I will say, based off of what I've seen go back and forth on Twitter wise, and what I would get excited for in the story that they could tell, they're never going to do this. Give me Mickie James to win the Rumble, and her challenge Charlotte at WrestleMania. You want to
That's
work a forbidden door, you want to work an angle, you want to work a call up. A lot of fans are, as soon as it was announced, everybody on Twitter that I saw on the feed, hey, give me Mickie versus Charlotte right now. And based off of their back and forth that they had when Mickie was in WWE prior to her last future endeavor, yeah, give me that. So if you want to capitalize on this shock and awe, give me shock and awe all the way. Announcer as Impact Women's Champion. Impact Women's Champion wins the Royal Rumble, and she headlines WrestleMania against Charlotte on night 1.
We're at the screen door. You want to get that shit in? But the people are like, who is it? Like,
Steve's taking it just to the moon.
Yeah,
To the moon.
forget
Just
the
like my
forbidden.
boy Cameron Grimes says.
Forget
Hey,
the
listen.
forbidden door, boy. You
Look.
wanted them bed together.
Hey,
Here's what
Hey,
I think
we
is going
talking-
to happen. She's going to come in and she's going to get thrown out immediately.
she's
Ah,
not
that's
going to win it,
unbelievable.
right? Listen, I'm realistic, right? She's not going to win it, okay? But to
Fantasy
present the other side of the coin, okay? If I had the pencil, as they like to say, as Bully Ray says on Busted Open all the time, you want to give shock and awe to people, and you want to get people talking. Well, the amount of buzz and the amount of talk people gave after her name was announced and her picture showed on the screen set the internet ablaze. If you have her go in and win and her challenge Charlotte at WrestleMania, yeah, that's going to be a lot of talking, and you're going to have a lot of headlines, and a lot of people are going to be invested based off of Mickey's history with the company, her firing again with the trash bag, her coming back to stick it to Vince and everybody else and say, hey, up yours, I just won the Rumble and I'm challenging for your belt that I'm going to take to Impact. Story
Yeah.
written.
then
Sold.
Charlotte's gonna be more hated.
Yeah.
Hey,
She
Hey.
likes the heat, though.
Yeah, she does like the heat.
Yeah, she likes the heat.
look, we talked
I mean,
about it
they
on
al-
our show
they
last
already
week.
No, I mean, they already like pushing people that have been pushed a million fucking times. So, I mean, what difference does it make if they did do this with Mickie James? So I kind of see that point. But on another point is like, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we talked about our show last week. Who's going to play the Forbidden Door better? Is it going to be Vince or is it going to be Tony Khan? Tony Khan had the chessboard first. He set up some moves and did some things. We saw how all that played out, right? Now Vince has watched you play chess. He has the pieces now, so he's going to take over the board. What's he going to do that's better than Tony Khan as far as playing the Forbidden Door game? Well, you want to one up what Tony Khan did? Hey, Kenny Omega won the AEW title and took it to Impact. All right, well, I'll have Mickie James win the Rumble and challenge Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. It's never going to happen, but in my opinion, that would be a hell of an interesting
Hey,
story.
he said it. He said the thing. He said the thing. What do you guys feel about them kind of bringing on these? Sorry if I'm too loud. Kind of bringing on these, older, or not older, but kind of legends back into the Royal Rumble. Like, how do you guys feel about that? The fact that
That goes to that man right
they
there.
fired a
Donald.
bunch of people, and say what?
That goes to Donald. He's first up on this one.
Okay. So how do you feel about that, Donald?
I don't like legends as it is because I think they just take the spotlight away from, active superstars, upcoming superstars. Like, you had your time to shine. Get the hell out of here.
Let the Rock's music hit.
Let the Rock. No, because he blew CM Punk's thing before. So no, get out of here.
I'll pop
I mean,
to the
but
Rock.
for the women, I can understand because WWE have like 2 women on the roster altogether. So you need to fill in somebody. You can't have all of NXT up there in the Rumble with them. So, I mean, you could bring them back as long as they don't win. I'm fine. As long as they don't win. I mean, you could win the no, you can't win the Rumble because I didn't want Edge winning the Rumble because I don't want them winning titles at all. Like I said, you had your time to shine. If you want to help the young wrestlers, go talk in the back. You don't need to be out in the ring. You don't need your glory anymore. You got your gold coat. Get the hell out of here.
I mean, ever since they started the Rumble for the women, they've always been shorthanded. So you're going to have to bring some legends back.
The first Rumble was pretty much mostly legends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can see that as like a celebration type thing. Like, yeah, we've got it, you know. But
that's definitely the way it was treated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the roster's
Yeah,
short-handed.
I just don't see it working now.
Yeah, you don't have 30 women to sprinkle in, 2 or 3 surprises that are legends. You have to fill up more of that. But hey, there's still 12 spots unannounced, so you never know what other surprises we could get. I'm not mad at the names that were announced.
Santina.
That would not shock me if she gets it running.
They did that. No.
Are you really? What do you mean no? You realize that she is a Battle Royale winner? Come on, man.
I remember WrestleMania 25. Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Legend.
Hall of Fame worthy.
I mean, she's right up there with Rosie O'Donnell. But yeah, I mean, who? I'm sorry. Who else didn't have a take on it?
Oh, we all go? Yeah.
Oh, we all did. Okay.
Yep.
So I noticed that Steve, you said that you didn't know the exact. Did you know the whole list of names
for the 18 that were announced?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I know the names.
Okay.
No, what I was saying was that you still have 12 spots, so who knows who else they're going to bring in. You'll probably have 1 or 2, maybe 3 people from NXT come up, and then maybe a surprise return in Asuka. I don't think Bayley's going to be back, but like Chris said, she's deflecting a lot harder than what she normally does on Twitter right now. So that, timeline rise, I don't know if she's due back or not.
Yeah, it's always so hard to figure out because it's not like you see her on TV during this or anything, so you don't know where her training's at right now or anything. All I can go off is just what she's been doing on social media.
But I know I said Mickie James, and honestly, I don't have another pick. It's too early for me right now to pick somebody.
And Sasha's officially out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think 6 to 8 weeks.
Who's
She
officially
might be out for Mania. Sasha.
She had a foot injury on a house show last weekend and got rolled out.
Oh, I was gonna say I just saw her at the bowl game. She looked fine to me.
Maybe it's a swerve.
Yeah. Or am I being worked again? All right, we're winding down here. I honestly, that's all I have for as far as getting takes on with you guys. But I did have a question that I saved up, best for last year, from Amy, and she just wants to know from all of us. She doesn't know much about wrestling. What makes us, me and you guys, like wrestling so much, even though we know it's fake?
She threw the F word out there.
Scripted.
Yeah, it's predetermined.
Yeah.
To me, if you could watch reality TV, we can have wrestling.
I'm like, people who say that, he's like, how can you watch this stuff? And it's like, you know, it's a lot like watching a movie.
Mhm.
It's you know it's not, they're not really going through these situations. You know that. But it's entertaining to you, or it's like a good show. Like, you don't really believe that, you don't really believe that Tom Holland is Spider-Man, right? He just plays Spider-Man, and then these guys
Just
play
coming at me today.
wrestling. It's not. I'm sorry, but no, and it's like, it's one of those things where I don't know. To me, it's a nostalgia thing. It's a entertainment thing. I grew up. I've been watching wrestling since I was like 7, so it's just, it's always been there. So and I love it. And it's not like any sport. It's like, uh, except, minus the fakeness. It's just like, you can ask somebody why are they watching. It's just because, well, end of story. I like it, basically.
Mhm.
Like
Tim-
my brother hates wrestling. But do you remember when Shawn Michaels kicked Shelton Benjamin out of the air?
Mhm.
He caught that walking by and it stopped him dead in his tracks. And he sat down. I'm like, see, this is what you're missing. Stuff like this is what you're missing. It's entertainment.
Yeah, I like it for the moves and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's something that keeps me, interested for sure.
We don't hate you for it.
Yeah, no hate, no hate.
Mhm.
Just
She said, yeah.
no
Yeah.
hate at all.
Like especially when they have a
Just
good
careful.
story, like a good story and a good feud going on, it just hooks you. They're like they said back in the day, it's a male soap opera, but it's just not for males anymore. Females love it too.
Yeah, for me,
Yeah.
it's. I mean, the first person that really got me into pro wrestling was WrestleMania 6. So the match I remember first was Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior. Those two larger than life characters that just hooked me in. It just drew me in, and I've gone in and out a little bit over time, but for the most part, I've been a fan since 1990. So it's a long time, and what gets me is the stories. That when pro wrestling tells a good story, there's nothing better than that. And that'll hook me in week after week after week. But the older I get, and with so much wrestling out there these days, if you're not going to hook me with some good stories and good entertainment, I can stop watching your product and go to somebody else and watch a product that's more entertaining. Now, there's just so much of it now, where before it was one or two companies and that was it, at least on TV. And yeah, it's like the matches are great. There's still, I can watch any company and still watch great matches, but consistently, what am I going to be entertained by week after week? That's what I'm here for.
If for me, wrestling for me, it's so ingrained in who I am over the years. I started watching wrestling whenever I was 3 years old. And the babysitter that I had is who watched wrestling. She's the one that sat me down while she was babysitting me Saturday mornings and watched wrestling. My sister broke my wrestling ring Christmas morning. As a 3-year-old, she sat her big baby ass down in my wooden wrestling ring and broke it, and my Christmas was ruined. It has just been there through so many things throughout my life. Whether it was a loss of a parent whenever I was young, whenever I was 9, and my dad took me to my first live wrestling event, and just it's so ingrained to who I am, and I think from that standpoint, I'm always going to watch wrestling. I haven't stopped. I didn't take a break. I didn't leave and come back. It's just something that I've always tuned in on a Monday night for, or now Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, sometimes Saturday and Sunday, right? For somebody new that's coming in that's never watched wrestling before, like Chris said, there's so many different products out there and so many different companies. Honestly, it's just kind of like Baskin Robbins nowadays. As a wrestling fan, you can go in and you can pick whatever flavor of ice cream that you like the best. Or if you want to add 2 or 3 different flavors in the bowl together, you can add 2 or 3 different flavors. Don't just limit yourself to one. I like WWE, I like AEW, I like Impact, I like MLW. You know, there's all these different companies out here that I like. I don't get caught up in the, oh, I only watch WWE, so I hate AEW, or I hate Impact, or you know what I mean? I hate New Japan, and vice versa. Because to me, you can, like Baskin Robbins, you can get anything you like from each show that's out there. So try different shows. I would say if you're able to go see a pro wrestling show live in your area, go see a pro wrestling show live, because the experience and all that, it's something that if you go to a live show, it'll hook you more than maybe watching it on TV will. The experience in seeing it live and watching it live will definitely hook you. So that's what I would suggest.
Would you recommend indie or professional? I mean, or big time?
Well, see, it
Depends
depends
on
on
where you live.
where you live
Okay.
at, because
Okay.
there's some you know really good indie wrestling out there that I would say automatically, like if you're in the New York area and you haven't watched wrestling before, I would tell you to go see GCW in the Hammerstein Ballroom coming up later on this month, but they've been sold out for 3 months, so you can't get a ticket in there. You know,
I think
in
you were
our
still out there.
in our area, in the Pittsburgh area, you know, we have IWC, so that's a great indie to go to and watch and get your feet wet and see a live event. But yeah, go check one out live, whether it's an indie level or if it's AEW or WWE coming to your town. I would definitely suggest that, and that'll probably hook you more than just tuning in weekly on TV at first.
Good
Yeah,
answer. Good answer.
Yeah, that was excellent. Yeah.
Tip of the cap to you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Well, I just before we go, anybody else have anything they wanted to bring up that they wanted to talk about? Now's the time. We're on a good show for that.
As we like to say on our show for our final thoughts segment, I don't have any final thoughts. Just thank you for having us on. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate the back and forth and the banner. I enjoyed myself. So hopefully we can do it again at some point in time.
Yeah. I
Definitely
know
like to
we're,
open up the forbidden
Oh,
door
yeah,
for you to
definitely.
come on our show anytime too.
I know we're much.
Said.
We're much. We're a lot to handle.
I'll be
So-
happy
sorry-
to come
sorry
on
you
you
got
guys'
work.
show.
Yeah, sorry you
oh
got
my
work for the
God.
first time. I apologize.
I had to bring it up, huh? Got the glasses off again, bro. But thank you guys for coming on, and yeah, definitely have to do this again. If you guys don't mind, or Chris, since you run it, if you could just plug where they can find you on social media real quick before we go.
Yeah, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all at DumbMarksPod. You can find out pretty much everything about us by visiting dumbmarkspod.com. Gives you, all our social media, all our links, all our episodes, past clips, and there's a thing on there for where you can listen to us as well. And don't forget to subscribe to our Dumb Marks podcast on YouTube. Hit that bell. This way you get notifications when we go live each week.
And last plug here, email the show, dumbmarkspod@gmail.com. Questions, comments, concerns, feedback, we take it all. Whether you love the show or hate the show, we appreciate the back and forth. So as always, reach out to us there, and you can go over to prowrestlingtees.com/dumbmarkspod, pick up some merch, and we'll give you a live shout out on there.
And personally,
as a pro wrestling tee. Fuck. Go ahead.
where can we find you at, or where can I find you at?
Who, me?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm going to do some following.
Okay. You can find me on Instagram at The Pro Wrestling Podcast. You can also find me on Twitter at The PW Pod. That's PW Pod, The PW Pod. And also on YouTube, which we are currently on right now. So subscribe, like, comment. That's where you can.
Awesome.
Good? All right.
Yeah.
So thank you guys again. So we're going to end it here. Everybody in the comments, thank you for chiming in, and we are out. Come on. End it. I pressed the button. I don't know why.
He's full.